Good morning. I want to welcome you for checking us out on our website. I am Msgr Don Sawyer, Vocation Director for the eparchy, and we're here to answer questions or guidance. For you to be checking us out, you wondering about a vocation, and you come to the right place. We'll give you answers. We could give you steps by steps. And you're here not because you just want to know information, but I feel like God is calling you, and for you to wanting to go online and looking. So, it's something when you have a vocation, it's like, what are you thinking about? I was talking to one of our seminarians, and he was describing about people asking him, well, why did you want to go to the priesthood? He was a lawyer, he was an engineer, he's had a life, and what motivated you? And he says that he could never express what's going on inside. And the easiest way to say it's a hunger. How do you know you're hungry? How you would describe hunger. And it's people can relate. We know what hunger is, but if you had to describe it, how would you describe it? So today we want to give you some tips and guidance and let you know that I'm here. Our seminarians are here. You may be considering going into a convent, becoming a nun, becoming a sister, or becoming a monk. So we're here for you to give you that information. I want to introduce to you Alejandro Landin, one of our seminarians. He's beginning second theology. This is third year in seminary, but second year theology. And questions you may have, he's attending the Maronite Seminary in Washington, D.C. and taking classes. So Alejandro, welcome. It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you, Monsignor.
He's been with us for the summer assignment, so it's been great. Well, you had some questions, that we can maybe help our viewers.
Yes, and I want to start with the fact that every person, they begin their vocation with a feeling or maybe a desire or some kind of idea about the priesthood, but from there they wonder, okay, I have this feeling, I have this desire, but what should I do with it? Where can I start? What steps should I take to figure out exactly what that feeling is?
And it's confusing, and from my experience and your experience, we could share. Where do you start? It's like, what's the recipe? Where do I go with this? And how do I know these feelings are from the Lord and what the Lord wants from me?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to ask me a question?
Yes. Well, what kind of feelings did you have when you first started the priesthood? How did you feel when you got that idea that you might be called to serve as a priest in the Catholic Church?
Everybody has a different story, and I like hearing stories. I like hearing how married people met, how they got to know, and same thing with vocations. When I was a child, I don't remember it, but my dad would be carrying me. And I would tell my dad, look, Dad, priest, me. And I remember, and he would tell, and he was not always Catholic. He became, Catholic after they got married. And my mother never pushed him. And anyway, and he'd tell my mother he's going to become a priest. And then I thought about earliest was first grade, second grade. And I like the robes, and I like anything church. I love that stuff, And then growing up, always I'd go to parties. I love dancing, and I remember dancing, and then I'd go out for a break. I'd go outside on the balcony, get some fresh air, and it's like a voice telling me, "You go ahead and have fun, dance all you want, but you're not going to be like everybody else. You're not going to be getting married. You're not going to have kids, because you're meant to be a priest." So I knew, even as a teenager, people say, "How did you know?" You just know, and then even in college, I finally started to go to seminary. I didn't know the difference between a religious order, the diocesan priest, that are under the bishop. But anyway, after one experience of a seminary for 4 days, I left, and then I went to another seminary, which was great. It was much, that was where I was meant to be. And even then, as I had a struggle Am I going to be like everybody else? Am I going to be a priesthood? And so me and God had a big conversation, and it was in San Antonio, Texas. The convention was going on, and I was going across. I met early that morning a priest, and the last thing I wanted to do meet a priest. But later that afternoon, I was looking to see what the girls were doing in the convention center, and right on the corner, I met up with that priest again. Oh Lord! And he told me, remember my name, and maybe he saw in my face, he's Don, you know what you need to do. Go ahead and you have your fun, but you know what you need to do. And I walked off. And he walked off. I hadn't seen the man since. And that took me a tailspin, and all the way driving to Houston, me and God had a big conversation. And he said, I'll get you through seminary, and he was saying that, trust me. And I said, okay. It was like jumping into a swimming pool at nighttime. You don't even know if there's water in there. You don't know if it's ice, and maybe nothing. And there may be a gator. And it's stepping out in faith. And ever since, and then there was at the time a song, this old song, How Can I Be Sure in a World Constantly Changing? I said, I don't want to be a priest. And they said, oh, I don't want to be a priest. Either yes or no. And that song came on the radio then. And whenever I've been in crisis or needed a pickup, that song comes on the radio. And I could picture God like George Burns laughing in the background. And he's laughing and he's guiding me. And of course, and praying, and prayer is essential. And I see where the Blessed Mother was guiding me all along. So that's my experience. How was yours? You know, you've been seminary 3 years.
I've been in the seminary 3 years, yes.
But you didn't come right out of high school.
No, I actually worked in accounting for about 8 years, and I got my CPA, and I did that for about a year before I actually joined the seminary. So my discernment process actually began while I was in the middle of going to school to be a CPA. So I was just living my life, kind of had assumed that I was going to get married and have kids one day, which I think is pretty normal, average assumption for a young man or woman growing up. It's kind of like the default, you know, you just assume one day you'll get married and have kids. But one day, the seminarian actually asked me, hey, have you ever thought about being a priest? Because he saw me at church quite a bit, and to be honest, I had never even thought about it. The thought had never crossed my mind. But after he had asked me that question, it was like a little, thought in the back of my head that was always there, and I couldn't get rid of it. And so I just started to nourish that thought, and I actually started to picture myself, as a priest, with the vestments on, and what it would be like saying a liturgy and giving baptisms, being in confession and forgiving sins, even being out on the street trying to evangelize. I took the idea and ran with it and really romanticized it and really started to fall in love with it. And I started to desire that more than I really had desired marriage and family life. And now the interesting thing is that I'll maybe clue in on some people that are thinking of joining the seminary.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yeah, that desire for a family and for to be a husband or wife and have children. As a priest, it's not as though you're rejecting that and saying, oh no, that's not for me, I don't want that, I want to be a priest. In my experience, that's still there, and it's even stronger now the more that I progress in the seminary. But you start to realize God has different ways for you to be a father or to be like a certain type of spouse. He has different ways.
I think it's very important because who made us? God. And he knows what he made us for. It's like if you want to know about your car, and all the tickings and stuff, the specialist is the maker of that car.
Exactly.
Or a timepiece, whatever. He makes it, so he knows what he designated for each of us to do. But I want to add too, because now as our tradition as Maronites, we've always had married priests, and we have accepted candidates studying 7 men and their wives to study for priesthood, and for me it's very exciting to have that. But people have to discern if you're called to be celibate, if you're called to be married, you know. And then we're also talking, don't exclude, you know, the ladies, you know, calling to be sisters or to be nuns, you know. That's a call, and it's a great call. And of course, brothers and religious orders, monasticism, becoming monks, you know. It's all calling. We're all like different specialized troops for the Lord,
Right.
you know. But it was a struggle for you to get to that point, that seminarian asking you to applying, and where do you go from there with that? You know, you pray, yeah, but what happens, you know?
Yeah, the technical part of getting into the seminary is not necessarily the most difficult part if you have that confidence. If you're confident that you really want to pursue this desire. And one thing I wanted to allude to in my seminarian journey, I never had this like voice that's like, yes, you know for sure this is what you're supposed to do. So maybe that might be helpful to some of the guys. It's like I didn't have this voice from heaven saying you are meant to be a priest. It's just a desire, but that desire, you know, like you said, you have to figure out where it comes from God. And you talked about jumping in a pool at one point. And eventually that's what the seminary is. It's you have this desire and there's nothing left for you to do except jump in. It's like you learn about the water and you read about how to swim and everything, but you never learn how to swim until you jump in the water.
Yeah, for sure.
So seminary is the place where you really, really learn how to discern, is this what the Lord is asking?
And what you're saying now, when you sign up to go to seminary, you go to seminary, it doesn't mean that you're already signed, sealed, and delivered.
Exactly.
It is a process, and some guys discern that it's not their calling. We had one guy discerning that, and then got married and all, and he had his seminary education, and then he applied, and so he's one of our newly ordained priests for this year. He has his wife and one child right now, but God had plans, you know, and maybe, you know, to as a vocation director, you know, encourage you guys at home. Number one, prayer, and I encourage you to talk to your pastors and or, you know, give me a call, Father Don, Monsignor Don Sawyer, and I'll give you my number, and I'm happy to talk with you. My goal as a vocation director is to help you discern where you're going. And it may be, you know, religious order. Maybe it's, and if you're interested in the deacon, so you could talk to your priest, but I'm here for you. And my number is 512-458-3693. 512-458-3693. I'm in Austin, Texas, at Our Lady's Maronite Parish. Father Don Sawyer and Alejandro Landin and the seminarians are in Washington, D.C. at our Maronite Seminary. So thank you for checking us out, and we're here for you. You know, what you're experiencing is God. Don't be worried about it or scared about it. And you can find happiness, what He wants you to do, whatever it is. God bless you.